why did my parents get married? Is because they didn't see each other as, oh, you're this or you're that. It's because you're a nice human being and I'm a nice human being and we get along. So
Religion doesn't matter.
nothing matters.
Your father is the cola man of the country. You were only 24 when you joined him. Was there that pressure?
See, I'm a person who is, I think I get it from both my parents, very stubborn. And I have a different view of looking at things.
Talking about your mother, you recently added her name to yours.
Yes.
What triggered that?
I carry her DNA too. So why am I identified with my father's last name? As in, fair enough, like his name should also be there.
Rolling with the Boss crew is in Mumbai. I'm Abhishek Singh, and we are here to talk to our guest for the day, who is an heiress to an empire but has a mind of her own. She runs business like a boss woman, but has studied fashion, styling, photography, and loves poetry. Jayanti Khan, the woman behind Bisleri. Hello.
Hello.
Hi Jayanti, how are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Wonderful. Thank you so much for taking out the time and talking to us.
Thank you for meeting with me.
And you have a fabulous office.
Thank you.
There's a car waiting for us downstairs. We'll go on a drive in Mumbai and talk about things in life.
Perfect, let's roll.
So thank you for taking out the time, Jayanti, and talking to us. You don't do interviews often, but you do as many as you need to. This one, however, is not so much about business, numbers, etc. We will talk about them, of course. But this is more about you. This is more about who is Jayanti Chauhan. And that's why the first question is that if you were to introduce yourself to somebody who doesn't know who you are, how would you do that in a couple of lines?
I guess number one would be animal lover.
Right.
And I think I've proven that because I used to be a hardcore non-vegetarian. And after years of consuming a lot of information about animal welfare, I turned vegan and it's been 5 years now. I'd also say I'm a photographer as well as an entrepreneur. Anything creative.
So what was the trigger when you turned vegan? You were a hardcore non-vegetarian.
Oh yes, I grew up in the north, so you can imagine.
Delhi.
Yeah.
Right, and you were fond of Mughlai, etc. But you switched.
Of course, yes.
Of course, when it comes to animals, you want people to adopt instead of buying. So talk to us about that.
So when I was a child, my dad and I had this tradition of every Sunday going to the bookstore in one of the markets, and there was no condition on how many books I could buy.
Right.
That was the only thing that I was allowed to buy, as many as I wanted.
Right.
So I remember we were coming out of the bookstore to where the car was parked, and there was this little puppy over there. And I just started crying. I think I was about 6 years old at that time, and I was crying. I was like, I want to take it home. It doesn't have a mommy, it doesn't have a daddy, like there was nobody around, it was all alone. So my dad kind of like gave in after 5-10 minutes, and the driver wrapped him up in a cloth and gave him to me, and I held him all the way home. And that's how I started this tradition of picking up dogs that were clearly abandoned and bringing them home, which my mum did not like very much. But slowly
because you ended up bringing a whole lot of them home over the years.
Yes. At one point I had 9 dogs.
Right.
But luckily we have a farmhouse as well, so
plenty of space for them too.
Plenty of space. So when they're babies, I would keep them at home to nurture them and bring them up. And then the minute they were too big for our house, then they were sent to the farmhouse where there was like so much space for them to play and have a very good life and do dog things and have a good life.
you happen to have a lot of cats as well.
Now I do, recently.
Yeah.
Yes.
Generally, people say, right, like, people who are into dogs might not be into cats.
No,
And there's
I'm
this whole
sorry.
dogs versus
No,
cats debate.
No.
Yeah. You're not going to choose
Man,
sides in that debate?
I would cuddle a crocodile if I knew that guy wouldn't bite me.
Right.
Okay, so I am not speciest at all. Each of them have their own very distinct personalities, which I've come to learn over the years. And I must say, cats are very easy to handle.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't require much maintenance. I'm talking desi breeds.
Right. The black and white striped one.
I
and
have
the
all
red and white.
colors.
And
I have all colors.
yeah, I've seen I've heard from people that I spoke with about you. Then, of course, your Instagram feed, and then we
Yeah.
also spoke. So, yeah, and you let them be.
I do not train them.
Yeah,
They're not meant to be trained.
right. So,
Yeah.
they can do their cats and dogs things.
Oh, yeah.
So when you go back home, things are all over the place, disheveled.
No.
Is that how you find it?
No.
Yeah.
The cats are very much, they like being outside. They will only come in when they hear my voice.
Right.
Because the rest of the household is very indifferent towards animals.
Right.
And they know love will come from here.
Right.
So when they feel like it, then they come to me the minute they hear my voice and see
Right.
my car is back.
Right.
Yeah.
Talk to us about growing up, because as a child, as you were telling me earlier, that your father allowed you to buy as many books as you wanted when he would take you out on these shopping sprees
Yeah.
of sorts.
Book shopping spree.
Book shopping sprees. Because you grew up in Delhi, in Mumbai, and in New York. So,
Mumbai, very less. It was only during Diwali, and if a cousin or somebody was getting married.
right,
It was more Delhi and New York.
right.
Yeah.
So, what was growing up in Delhi like?
A lot of rugged fun.
Okay. You want to elaborate?
Yeah, sure. I mean, in the sense, when I see today's 14-year-olds
Yeah.
and then I see pictures of myself at 14, I must say I'm very lucky and blessed to have had such a wild in the sense, one with nature kind of wild, like Mowgli kind of wild
Okay.
childhood, where I was like, yeah, go ahead, climb that tree, you fall down, hurt yourself, so what? Bandage it up, go back, play, like very rough and tough, and
Interesting.
not. I mean, yeah, my mom loved putting me in like these frocks and ponytails and whatnot, and I loved it too.
Yeah.
But I also liked the fact that I was pushed into sports very early on in life.
Yeah.
And I was taught to swim when I was like 3. And
Interesting.
yeah, like
Yeah.
I mean, literally, like just put in the pool and
Yeah.
like go.
See if you can.
Yeah, survive.
Yeah. And if you do, you surely would have learned swimming at the end of it.
Yes. No, and then of course my dad hired
Yes,
a
yes, of
coach.
course. Yeah.
And I picked it up like, honestly, like fish to the water, like it's one of my favorite sports.
Yeah.
And then I was put into tennis.
Yeah.
I was on the track team in school.
Right.
I was sports captain from 6th grade to 11th grade. I don't know what happened in 11th grade, but yeah. So it was not. It was a very normal childhood, I would say, in the sense that I didn't know who my dad was, and I didn't care. My friends didn't know anything about and we were so innocent.
Right.
We just didn't know anything about
Yeah.
anybody's family.
Yeah.
We were friends. If I like you, you make me laugh. We're friends,
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
Right. But your father, I mean, because you were only 24
Yeah.
when you joined him at work, very young, and your father is somebody who's, I mean, there are all kinds of monikers for him, but one which stands out is the Cola Man of the country, right?
Absolutely.
Cola Man of India.
Yes.
And so many iconic brands, from Thumbs Up to Mazda to Limca, there's so many of them. So when you joined, was there that pressure on you to sort of, step into his shoes and work in a certain way, do a few things, or You were like, okay, this is what I was born for.
See, I'm a person who is, I think I get it from both my parents, very stubborn. And I have a different view of looking at things. Just because somebody older and more experienced than me looks at something a certain way does not mean I'm just going to blindly follow that.
Right.
I will question it. And aside from my father, I've noticed that people from various industries who are senior to me do not like to be questioned. My father will answer my questions as to why, how, and I like doing things in my way. And if it succeeds, well, then I did something right. And if it fails, I need to learn. What did I do wrong? Yeah.
But
So there's no pressure for me to be my father, because clearly I am not my father. You can't
Of course.
be another person.
Yeah.
And don't forget, I'm also a half mix of my mother.
Yes.
So it's like these two qualities mushed in together with a lot of other experiences I've had on my own. So yeah, it's been a journey. It's been a journey. Yeah.
Right. Talking about your mother, you recently added her name
Yes.
to yours.
Yes.
What triggered that?
I just thought to myself, my mom's the one who carried me. I carry her DNA too.
Right.
So why am I identified with my father's last name?
Right.
As in, fair enough, like his name should also be there.
Sure.
But she
Yeah.
gave birth to me. So, like,
Absolutely.
why are we disregarding the mothers?
Right.
And not just me, any mother.
That's the norm, right? I mean, you
Yeah.
know, on forms, etc.
Yeah.
They want the father's name, and generally people.
Exactly. They never ask you about your mother.
Yeah.
And I just found that to be totally unfair. And also, to tell you the truth, I think it's pretty cool that I'm a mix of two completely different backgrounds. And I feel like, in a way, and there are many more like me who come from completely different backgrounds. And it's so cool because that's when you learned, like, not to look at someone based on these boxes and rather look at them as a human being. Like, why did my parents get married? Is because they didn't see each other as, oh, you're this or you're that. It's because you're a nice human being and I'm a nice human being and we get along. So
religion doesn't matter.
Nothing matters. They are polar opposites in their personality, by the way. Yes.
Okay.
And somehow it's worked. I mean, they've been married, 45 years now. And it's worked really well for them. So who's to say what works and what doesn't work? And when you put these boxes around people, you might miss out on a really great thing.
So talk to us about growing up in that household, because of course your mother must have had her ideas of how a kid should be brought up. Your father must have had, because of their backgrounds, of course.
And just to add to it, I had a governess for about 18 years and she was Roman Catholic. So just to add to the mix of all the different backgrounds, and I was extremely close to her. So we celebrated everything at home. I mean, there was a party almost like every 2 months to like celebrate something or the other. And it was fantastic. And what was fantastic was to learn at a very young age that you look at humans, you don't look at what they're born to or where they come from.
By some stroke of luck, someone is born here, someone is born someplace else. While you were talking about your governess, I was thinking of the, as you enter your office on the 5th floor, in the corner is a Ganpati Murti, then there is a cross, of course, and then there is a couplet, I suppose, from the
Aitul
Quran.
Kursi.
Right.
It's called an Aitul Kursi. Because I do not want us to be known as a particular, I mean, we're a secular country, right? My office is extremely secular. So I was like, if we're putting one statue, then shouldn't we put all of them? You know, like, why are we not giving the same respect to, because at the end of the day, every text teaches us the same thing. It's just said in a different way.
Right.
I mean, be good, do good, don't hurt others. These are all like common things that they teach us. So I felt like, why are we leaving out the others? And if you notice, as you enter the lobby, there's a big Buddha statue as
Yes.
well. Yeah. So it's like, cover as many as possible.
Yeah. Which is I was
Don't
saying, it's
leave
like
anyone out. Yeah.
yeah, a mini version of what India in a way
should
is.
be like. Yeah.
Yeah. Another interesting aspect is, and I suppose, and correct me if I'm wrong, probably your mother's influence, is that you studied Arabic. We'll talk about fashion, we'll talk about photography, we'll talk about styling, but let's talk about Arabic for a while.
Because it's the most odd one.
Yeah. It stands out. I mean, I wouldn't call it odd.
Out, yeah. No, actually, growing up as a teenager, Delhi being the capital, so there are a lot of embassies and the embassy crowd.
Yeah.
And I became friends with people from every country you can name. But my closest circle were a bunch of Arabs.
Right.
And I picked up a lot just by hanging out with them,
Right.
because I also do speak Tamil.
Right.
And English, and I studied Italian and Spanish. So I kind of have a knack for languages. So
That's
I thought,
half a dozen already. I am keeping account. But go on.
no, but I'm not fluent in any of them except Tamil. The reason being is that I just thought, I came across this page on the SOAS website where they had a short course. Because I was like, I don't want to do like a PhD or anything. I just want a short course in Arabic and clean up whatever it is that I've learned and learn more. And so it was just a 1-year course.
Okay.
And that's when everyone went haywire thinking that I've left the country. I have a certificate to show if you want that I went to do a course. And the whole time I was in touch with the office.
Yeah.
So it's nothing like that. It was just my interest, and I think I'm allowed to leave the country and pursue something that I like, And it was a wonderful course. We had excellent teachers, and I'm so glad that I did it. And London is a fantastic city, so any reason to go back there is enough for me. Yeah.
You went there to study fashion and photography, right?
In Milan as well,
Yes.
and in Los Angeles.
Right. With that kind of academic background, someone who studied fashion, styling, photography, Arabic, you come in and you join your father's company. What was that like?
Well, actually, my first course was more on product development,
Right.
even though it was
Los
at a
Angeles,
fashion
yeah.
school.
Yeah.
And design. Design as in packaging design.
Product, yeah.
And also retail selling.
Okay.
But fashion products. But
Right.
I would say that the same principles that I learned there can be applied to what I'm doing currently as well.
All right. And as a woman, you were 24, you walked
Yeah.
in. As a woman in a leading role, what was that experience like? Were there any hurdles that you faced? Or
Not as a woman, no.
Okay.
I think maybe my age, because I was young, none of my ideas were taken seriously. Sorry for saying that. But it's true. I was meant to learn, which I was very happy to do. And I learned a lot from my directors, from my managers, from the team that I was working with, and still am. And as you can see, there's been a complete rehaul of people in the company.
so you put these systems in place
Exactly.
over the first few years.
Yes, and got a great CEO who understands when I say something, like he understands where I'm coming from.
Right.
And we don't have this way of working. A lot of people have this misconception that we have this way of working that if I say something means that's it, that's what's going to happen. And no, it's not like that at all. Why would you hire someone at a certain salary who's a professional who's worked in so many great companies and then just dictate to them what they have to do. That doesn't make any sense, right? You have to use their abilities and their past experiences in order to grow your own business. So that's not how we work. So if I come up with an idea and my team tells me, ma'am, I don't think this is viable, we will sit down and rethink the entire process.
Right.
And if need be, we'll scrap it, you know. So that's not how we work at all. Because when you think about a family business, you think about the family member being the
dictating terms,
dictating
top bottom approach.
Yeah, it's not like that at all. We do have disagreements all the time. That is for sure.
And do the disagreements get loud?
No, not at all. Not at all. You can ask anyone when I'm not around.
Right.
No,
I have, but I just want to hear it from the boss so that.
No. I like to keep a very light and happy atmosphere for people, and in fact, I have implemented a lot of processes now which make at least a few of our employees comfortable.
Right.
And trying to do some more as well in order for employee benefit. So we're moving along in the right track, I think.
The road that we are on, the ceiling.
I love it. Yeah.
It's a lovely drive.
I
and
absolutely
also,
love it.
Looking at that water, I mean, water has been like a constant theme in your life. At 3, you were
swimming. Yeah.
At 24, started coming up with your own ideas about how to sell water. Sometimes does it make you think, like philosophically at least, like, why water has played such a large part in my life?
Sometimes I don't have time to be philosophical. There's too much
but then,
to get
I mean,
done.
for someone who studies and reads and knows her Rumi.
Yes. I do think that, there's definitely some connection there. I haven't thought of it too deeply. When I was constructing my farmhouse, and then when finally the swimming pool was ready, because of my health, I need to do some cardio exercises, and swimming is the best one because you rarely ever pull a muscle or it's the safest one. And I hadn't swum for I think over a decade, and the minute I got into the water, I don't know what happened, I just took off like a fish. So yes, there is some connection there for sure.
Delhi versus Mumbai, which city do you like more?
It's a slightly biased question, because obviously wherever you've done your school and where you've been raised as a child will always feel like home, right? Having said that though, the energy that's there in Bombay in terms of work is fabulous. I couldn't think of a better city to work in. Yes, traffic is a bit of a nuisance here, but it is also in Delhi. Look, I can't really answer this question fairly.
It's okay, you can just choose one, it doesn't matter, you don't have to justify it.
But what if I like both but for separate reasons?
That's fine too. That's fine too. And so Delhi you like more, obviously, because you grew up there, as you were saying. And Mumbai for its energy and vibe. Cool, works. You're into poetry, of course.
Yes.
Your favorite poet is Rumi, correct me if I'm wrong?
One of them, yes.
Okay. So would you like to cite a couplet?
Sure. Let me think. Which is the camera that's pointed at me?
This camera is yours, yes.
In your light, I learn how to love. In your beauty, to create poetry. You dance inside my chest where no one sees you, but sometimes I do. And that sight becomes this art.
Wonderful. I mean, Ruby is, of course, Ruby. So it was very interesting that, somebody who is heiress to an empire, so to speak, has such a diverse background in terms of education and is now running, this company. And therein, I wanted to talk to you about the manner in which the business at Bisleri is now shaping. There is a focus on soft drinks. There is a focus on, of course, there is Vedika, there is Bisleri. So talk to us about what's happening at Bisleri and what are the future plans that you have. Some of the things which you can share with us at this point.
We are focused on our sales, on our distribution, on our manufacturing. We need to, we're increasing the manufacturing of our pop drinks.
Right.
And we're scaling that up, and we're seeing amazing results.
Yeah. Because, I mean, there is plenty of competition that you have in the market.
Yes.
And for health related reasons, people are more and more aware and they don't want to sort of, drink soft drinks. So why this focus and how are you doing this?
If you taste this, it's very different. It's very different. And if you look at our public in general,
Right.
what percentage would you say are, so what's the difference between having a fried samosa and having
See, I drink,
limonada?
personally, I drink a lot of cold drinks.
Yeah.
And I have always had. I'm not saying others should or others should not. All I wanted to understand if the organization is focusing on soft drinks, A, why, and B, how you're addressing that issue, how you are tackling that problem, if at all
Well, I
you
would
consider
say,
it a problem.
firstly, it was my dad's idea.
Right.
I only came on board later when the design aspect had to be looked at and the taste. And as you said, he has the title of the Cola King.
Yes, Thumbs
And,
Up,
yeah.
Mazza, Limca, so many, yes.
Exactly. So why not do it again?
No, I agree.
You know,
Absolutely, from the point of
so,
view of business, it does make sense. And,
and
you're
the distribution is same as this Bisleri, so it's not that much of an investment
Right.
for us to diversify our portfolio.
right.
Yeah.
All right. Now talk to us about Vedika, because I'm told this is close to your heart.
Yes, it is.
Why it is close to your heart?
So Vedika is a single source water. We have a spring up in the Himalayas, and that's where the water comes from. So you cannot open a factory for Vedika, say somewhere in Maharashtra.
Right.
It is only from that spring. And that spring has the perfect balance of minerals and the perfect pH level,
Okay.
which makes the water alkaline.
Right.
So it's very healthy for your body. The reason why it's close to my heart is because when I joined the company, Vedika was selling maybe all India, couple of hundred cases
Okay.
a month. Today we are selling couple of lakh cases a month.
So you took that up as a challenge?
I took that as a challenge because nobody in the office knew what to do with it. And having lived in other countries and knowing about spring water and why it's special and why it's at a higher
pH.
price.
Okay, and a higher price.
And the pH, minerals, etc., all those different components that make up that water, why it's important, and how it should be marketed towards which consumer. So I took that upon myself as a challenge, and there were a lot of course, debates in the office as to what to do with Vedika, but I stood very firm and did not let anyone bully me into giving up or not looking at it. And I'm glad that I did do that, because look where it is today.
Is that also your work philosophy? I mean, take things up as a challenge and eventually prove people wrong?
Maybe you are right. I haven't thought about it too much, but maybe you are right. Maybe I like to prove people wrong.
At least something we have established. All right.
At the moment, I don't know. I do feel I also sometimes have a childlike quality, which I sometimes need to keep in check in the office, because it's not always appreciated maybe by the older colleagues that are there.
Also, being a female boss, you were perhaps more sensitive towards what was needed at work for women. You've done a lot of those things at workplace. Talk to us a little bit about those initiatives.
So number one was that I gave a day off to women for their monthly cycles.
Right.
Because I mean, I haven't personally experienced it, but I have read a lot about how much pain some women go through.
Right.
And trust me, no man would ever understand what we go through, and yet we are still getting into the car, getting ready, going to office, sitting in meetings.
Yeah. So one is leaves.
Yes,
And-
and also maternity leave. We
Right.
give 6 months off. And what I would also like to add to this is paternity leave as well.
Right.
You know, because even fathers want
As
to spend
important.
time. It's as important for fathers as it is for mothers. Those are a few, I would say, family adjacent policies that I would like to implement to ensure that everyone has a work-life balance.
We've spoken about so many things, but we can't wrap this up without, putting you in the hot seat.
Just to be clear, I haven't prepared for this.
What is the most Delhi thing you do?
What?
Feel free to pick and choose. There's so many, right?
Oh, there's so many. You can take the girl out of Delhi, but you can't take Delhi out of the girl. Oh my, what is the most? Oh yes, whenever I've had a long day or a frustrating day, Rajma Chawal is a must.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And any of the bad stereotypes, like North has
Do I
like
look like someone
No, not at all.
who's a stereotypical Delhi girl? I think Delhi gets a really bad rep.
Yeah.
Have you seen Rocky and Rani?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
Rocky is your typical that Delhi boy, right?
Yeah.
But like, look how well the role was written, because it is actually like that.
Right.
You know, like, okay, whatever, flashy clothes and flashy cars,
Yeah.
but as a human being, he's
Yeah.
a nice
Nice guy,
person.
yeah.
He's a good guy, you know. So I just think Delhi gets a bad rep. And honestly, if you came now, depends also who you hang around with. If you came now to Delhi and you just walked into a nice bar or whatever, even as a single girl, like I go and I sit down by myself somewhere, nobody will disturb me.
You think that has changed over the years?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
So one look at your Instagram page and anybody can tell that among the things that you love, traveling is probably right at the top of the
Yeah.
list. So when it comes to traveling, solo travels versus with family or friends, which one do you prefer?
So I've done both. I have, when I was a child, obviously I traveled with my family. And as I grew up and was in college, I did many solo trips. I'm still waiting to go on a trip with somebody who means a lot to me and I to him. And
You have a place in mind for that already?
I do. I've
Yeah.
already picked out the place,
Uh-huh.
and I've picked out the kind of fun things.
You're going to reveal it to us? Like where on the globe that is?
No, let him come into my life, and then you'll see it on my Instagram.
Instagram. All right. If you were to choose between books or movies, which would
That's
you
a
choose?
tough one. I don't know, because there have been books that I read and then I saw the movie and I was like, oh my god, the movie was so bad.
Give us one example.
Da Vinci Code.
I see. Right.
And that entire series, the
Yes.
books was so much better.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones, the books was so much better than the. I mean, I liked the series too, but I just didn't like how it ended.
Yeah.
It's
I
like a
guess-
bad relationship, you know. For 7 years, you're invested in it,
Yeah.
and then boom, it's over, and you're just like,
Okay. No
what
closure.
happened? No closure, you know.
Yeah. True.
So, and then there was something like The Great Gatsby, which I read.
Yeah.
And then Baz Luhrmann's Great Gatsby is phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's even better than what F. Scott Fitzgerald wrote in his book. Like
Right.
he made it come to life, and how.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right. So we have settled that debate to the extent that we could have. And if you were to pick a favorite movie, which one would that be? Like, okay, this movie you can watch in your downtime.
Putting me in a really hard spot. There's so many. How do you make me choose one?
All right, choose three. It's all right.
Okay, so Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Cool.
Because everyone thinks it's a very glamorous movie.
Yeah.
When actually, if you watch it properly and you understand the dialogue and the character of Holly Golightly,
yeah.
played by Audrey Hepburn, she's actually a very damaged and sad human being.
Yeah.
And she just puts on this air about herself, and people fall for it, you know. And if you see the ending, you understand, you know, it's a very complicated character. And that's what I love about her, about this character, and why I like this film. It has nothing to do with Tiffany's, it has nothing to do with the glamour or the pearls or whatever, the cigarette holder, no. It's the character of Holly Golightly. Another one would be The Great Gatsby.
Right.
Because the complexity of Leonardo DiCaprio's character in that, Jay Gatsby, I like complex characters.
Right.
So any movie which has a complex character, I would enjoy it.
Okay.
I'm not into rom-coms at all.
All right, unlike your father, I can't give you so many choices when it comes to books, but I'll definitely give you 2 or 3 if you'd like.
Okay.
So your favorite books?
So right now I'm reading Elon Musk by Walter Isaacson.
Right.
I'm a huge fan. And,
Of Walter Isaacson or
no,
Elon Musk?
Elon Musk. Of course, of Walter Isaacson as well.
Yeah.
But Elon Musk.
Because that's one thing which I wanted to talk to you about, and
Yeah.
funny it came pretty much towards the end,
Yes.
is Elon Musk.
Yes.
So tell us about what you find sort of interesting about the man.
What I like about he is definitely a personality.
Right.
We all can agree on that.
Absolutely.
And he has I don't care personality.
Right.
For him, I think money is a byproduct of what he does. What he does is not to earn money or for profits.
Yeah.
He does things that he thinks is fun.
Yeah. If he wants to dig a tunnel under a city,
He'll
he'll do that.
do it.
Yeah.
He wants to launch rockets, he'll do it. He wants to buy Twitter for some ridiculous amount of money, he'll do it. It's
And then
because
say F you to the advertisers.
I love him.
Yeah.
How can you not like a personality that goes against all of society's norms,
Right.
and how a person in a big business industry should or should not behave?
Right.
Who are you to dictate to him how he spends his money?
Right.
Let him blow it up on X
Yeah.
or Twitter, as it used to be called.
Yeah. No, I think, I mean, he
You know.
started getting criticized a lot more when, the companies went public. Until then...
Yes, of course.
So there is that
But
issue.
If
but-
you have faith in the guy,
Yeah.
which I think people should,
Yeah.
um,
I mean, he's proven it with Tesla.
exactly.
He's proven it with SpaceX.
Everybody is just hung up on X,
Yeah.
whereas they're not looking at the other work that he's doing.
That's because, everybody's on X and everybody on X has an opinion. And yes, that's it. All right. So Elon Musk.
And a book that actually made me, moved me to the point where I had to travel to the country was called Rumi's Daughter.
Okay.
It's a very short book. I would say the writing is not as sophisticated as it could be, but it's a wonderful book nonetheless.
Alright.
It's about this young girl who is adopted by Rumi, based on true story.
Right.
But they cannot find all the facts about this girl that they would like to. And after reading that book, I basically packed my bags and I head to Turkey.
Okay.
Yeah, just by that book.
All right.
And basically any poetry book. I do like also a lot of fiction. murder mysteries and thrillers and
Okay.
things like that
Okay.
as well in my spare time.
Yeah.
And George Bernard Shaw,
Right.
one of my most favorite.
Okay.
I could go on.
Yeah, no,
Yes.
that's fine because
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much to talk about. The moment it is about books or movies.
Yes.
Because people who are interested in books and movies are either
Yeah.
really interested.
Shantaram. Oh my God, what a brilliant book.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So, all right. But to end this interview,
Mm-hmm.
I've tried saving this question throughout the interview and kept it for the last, and that is Bisleri versus Vedika. The reason I'm making it a versus question is because one is, I mean, we know is close to your heart, and the other one, of course, has the maximum amount of distribution.
Yes.
Hugely popular with the masses.
Yes. So when I walked into the company, Bisleri was already a very established brand, right?
Right.
I had to learn about how things were done for Bisleri. But when it came to Vedika, which, as I said, was only selling a couple of hundred cases a month, I had to do everything from ground up.
Right. So
You know,
Vedika
like,
is like, your baby.
Everything I had to think about. So, how to portray it, how many agencies I hired and let go, they are not getting it.
Right.
They're not thinking the way I'm thinking about this brand. And now we do everything in-house for Vedika.
Right.
With production companies, of course, but everything is done in-house. And it's been a fantastic journey. And that feeling of achievement, it's a wonderful feeling.
All right. On that note, it was amazing talking to you.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for taking out the time and talking to us.
Absolutely.
Pleasure.